What's up, y'all? If y'all are only here for the Urensa code, here it is. I'm gonna put the pace of the EVs in the description. I'm also gonna put the Urensa code in the description. Yeah. If you like the team, please leave a like. Subscribe would be awesome. I'm trying to grow the channel, so second video, I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the team. If y'all are interested in hearing my war story, my run, how we built the team and everything like that, stick around. Now, about a week ago, I played in the Portland Regional Championships in the 2024 season. The tournament had about 502 players, and I placed 19th. I've placed better. I have also placed worst, so I'm happy with it. I feel like I didn't do the team enough justice. Like I really like the team, and I'm really excited to show it to you guys. Before I start, I just want to thank everyone who I built with. I want to thank Luca Paz, firstly, who piloted the team in about half the time to a position higher than everyone else who had the team. This was really impressive by him, and I'm very proud for him. I'm very excited for him. Also, shout out to Neil, who he went, I believe he went 6'3", 74th place. He also ran the team with us. He was kind of the father of most of the principles and the ideas on the team, so huge shout out to him. I'm gonna have him on the channel a little bit, so yeah. Otherwise, I want to thank Justin Tang for a ton of help with testing. He was super huge in building. Kosuke Day, a ton of help. He did so much for us, and he's someone that I talked to him for the first time during preparation for the story. So it was very cool to make a new friend through Pokemon. Shout out to Darts, the original team, the extremely original team, the OG team, you'll say. And then thank you to my friends Aaron Trailer, Tyson Hughes, Brian Yum, the Mons. There are some tougher to get Mons on this team, and I guess everybody knows how painful it can be to get Mons. So I really appreciate their help. Everything legitimate. Firstly, I'll say it on the code. Everything legitimate. So thank you to them. Now, to start talking about the team, you kind of have to start with one of the biggest online tournaments ever. It was an 800-person tour. It was one of the biggest tours ever of all time, online and offline actually. And a friend of ours, Darts, Chris Hahn, a senior, won the tour. He won it with a very similar team. I think it was the same 6 as this. And this was kind of the original blueprint of the original team, right? This was the original team that we were climbing with. We were placing pretty high. I believe I brought this against Brady on stream, or a version of this. I think I brought Pokémon Water, but this was the team that we began with. Now, eventually, we kind of had a couple gripes with the team. Firstly, Chien-Pao Entei was rising in popularity. Now, this team doesn't have the most switch-ins for either of them, right? You kind of have Entei who helps both of them, and you have Landers who can lead into both of them, kind of, but both really don't do enough, right? Now, we wanted to keep Intimidate, we wanted to keep a flying type, we wanted to keep something with support. Landers was kind of forced around Choice Scarf, and as a result couldn't do as much in the supportive slot. And then we had Ogerpon Water here as well, but Ogerpon Water, we kind of didn't like the overlap with the typing. We really like Rillaboom, and we kind of wanted a little bit of both, right? And so as a result, Gyarados was born. Gyarados has a couple cool things going for it. To start, Gyarados can do a little bit of both. With an adamant boosting attack nature, Gyarados actually does a lot of damage, especially alongside Chien-Pao. You're 2-hit KOing all Chien-Pao, you're 2-hit KOing Flutter pretty easily, you're 2-hit KOing, of course, Entei and Pokemon like that, and you're OHKOing Landorus Eye alongside Chien-Pao, even bulkier versions of Landorus Eye. All in all, Gyarados is one of the best support Pokemon I've ever played with, in all honesty. It was very nice to have Pokemon with access to Helping Hand, which is, as we know, extremely broken in the current metagame, right? Just being able to boost the damage of Pokemon, firstly, of moves that your opponent can't stop. Or your opponent has no way to prevent, right? Moves like Extreme Speed, priority moves are the example I'm trying to talk about, like moves like Thunderclap, where you can't exactly KO the Pokemon first. I guess I'm making this a little bit harder to understand, but to put it simply, The Helping Hand, a priority move, is extremely broken. And on top of that, Helping Handing your Flutter Mane is it's a pair as good as it's one of the most marvelous things in the world. When your Flutter Mane is in a position where you're just Helping Hand gleaming everything off the board, and it comes up much more often than you think. Gyarados was just excellent here, right? It had all the things that we needed. It switched into Chimpao and Urshifu, which is something Landorus didn't do. It actually intimidated threats that we needed intimidated. It actually 1v1 Entei, which is something that not very Pokemon on these styles of teams could do, right? Overall, it was an excellent Pokemon. Speed Control, Taunt is completely gone from this metagame, right? Tornadus is kind of opted into running Protect more often, and as a result, they usually drop Taunt. And people were dropping their Taunt checks. On top of that, Terra Ghost allows you to Terra Ghost and Taunt to fake out as a check anymore. To round out the team, we have Entei Chimpao, which is kind of the premier duo in the first regional, which is it's important context, right? This was the first regional of the new format, right? So this duo was extremely strong, and I'll say this duo definitely came the most out of any other Pokemon. This was just super strong. Nothing too unconventional except for the Entei set. Now we realized that Entei in a lot of situations on this team is actually a very important physical dueler. It is the kind of way I describe it, right? You're constantly in front of other physical Pokemon, and you want the ability to protect on them a lot of the time, which is something that Assault Vest, the most common set, doesn't exactly give you. Now the second most common set is Life Orb, but we didn't like how it was chipping us, and overall it felt like the bulk we invested meant less and less the more we invested it, because we were chipping ourselves anyway, right? To live something like, for example, a close combat on a little bit of HP doesn't exactly matter, because you're going to KO yourself next turn anyway with Life Orb chip. So we wanted a Pokemon that actually took hits better, survived in the field more, and had Protect. And we kind of found that Citrus Berry allowed us to do a lot of that. Otherwise, a lot of pretty basic stuff. We liked Rillaboom, Terra Grass, Wood Hammer is a Z move, to be completely frank. We missed a little bit bulkier because we didn't exactly have the Assault Vest Entei to switch into Moonblast. So we kind of needed something a little bit bulkier. And so we were okay with sacrificing a little bit of attack investment. Otherwise, everything else is pretty standard. I think if I had to change one thing about the team, it would be the Flutter set. I think in hindsight, we had a lot of support when paired with Protect. You T-Wave alongside your own Flutter Mane, you get the speed advantage. You can set Calm Mind. You can Protect, bring in Rillaboom to then fake out next turn. Right? You had a couple cool plays, and I feel like that was a missed opportunity by us. Otherwise, not much to say. Flutter Spread was, I'll say it's a little bit greedy, right? Like I guess one of the things that is important to know is a lot of people came to the same conclusion that lower attack Flutter Mane is preferred so that you outspeed more Flutter Mane and that you can take hits. Now a lot of people recognize this, and as a result, our super investment in speed didn't mean too much when our opponent was, for example, this, right? Now they have all the adventures that we worked so hard and we put so much of our EVs into, gaining, and it means absolutely nothing. So I guess Flutter Mane, the set, is where one of the things I started to improve on. I think Calm Mind also didn't come up too much on Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt was essential to the game plans. Calm Mind didn't come up too much, but I don't know if it's something I drop, right? It's something I consider dropping. Otherwise, excellent team. I'm so happy my friends ran it with me, and the title was not clickbait. I played some of the best players in the world that weekend, some of the best at the tour, if not some of the best in the world, and I'd love to talk about my run here. Now, round one was against our favorite internet superstar, Jody Azarelli. I don't have his sets, but I do have the team. Now, Jody's team was quite simple, very similar to my team. As you can see, very, very similar. I think the main change being no Gyarados, which is, again, we were unique in that aspect. But in that aspect, it really helped. Gyarados was very, very, very essential for the plan. The important thing is, Raging Bolt isn't exactly extremely useful in the mirror, and so as a result, it doesn't need to come out as much. Something a lot of these teams wish they could have is another Entei check. And so as a result, late game Gyarados ended up being extremely good. Now, another thing that came up very nicely was Citrus Berry on Entei. Because a lot of the team was trading physical damage, Citrus Berry came out so nice where I could Protect, where I got Citrus Berry, a 4th of HP is a lot, right? Especially when you're barely living KOs. It's extremely helpful. So overall, I had a matchup. Game was very nice, and a little bit of backstory. Now, me and Jody don't actually go to very many events, and when we do, it's often not at the exact same event. So we were talking, we were having a good time, and we were studying exactly right by table 12, right, which was conveniently pretty empty. And so we asked one of our mutual friends if he could pull up the pairings, and we had pairings with each other round 1. So funny story I'd like to share. Jody posted about it. It was very, very unfortunate. Now it didn't stop there. Round 2 ended up being a difficult matchup. Overall, I feel like I played well. I think one of the nicest things is they completely misplayed game 1 by bringing Thunderous, which I had many checks into. For example, I predicted a turn 1 Leer into my Pokemon, and as a result, I swapped it out into the Dark type. And as you guys know, Dark types they aren't able to get hit with extra moves, and by swapping it in, I kind of put him in a position where he had to swap something into Ice Cold Crash. And nothing on his team really likes swapping into Ice Cold Crash, right? Like you can take Chip on some things, but then by taking Ice Cold Crash, you put Urshifu in Rage of Grassy Glide. By taking Ice Cold Crash on Fair Giraffe, you don't swap the next one, right? You can't take a Crash on your Rillaboom, right? And Entei wants to conserve HP. So overall, I feel like I had a huge lead game 1. I lost game 2 because of Terra Fairy. Now my Raging Bolt, one of the weaker parts of the Raging Bolt is if you can't use priority in front of a Fairy type, you're useless. Plain and simply. Now my opponent recognized this, and in the second game, Terra Fairy in front of my endgame Raging Bolt, and I couldn't use priority because of their ability Armor Tail, and I couldn't attack it with Dragon Balls, and so they ended up winning the endgame. Now my third game was against Dylan Salmonera, regional champion. This game was actually on stream. Now a lot of people ask me, what happened? And just to set the record straight, I'm not that silly. I did not put Sacred Fire Champao, as y'all have seen from some screenshots. I did not use Water Gun Gyarados. It was a different error. I had pressure on my inner focus Entei. Now somehow this didn't come up in previous games. But the opponents were kind enough to just, the judges were kind enough to just let me receive a game 1 loss, and as a result, I could keep my Pokemon. It's perfect. Now the strip set against Dylan, the important thing to know, like obviously I'm gonna start with coping, right? I'm obviously gonna start by coping. It's very difficult to play a matchup, especially in Mirror, where you don't get a second game as leeway, right? For example, I likely had the game locked up had I had the faster Flutter Mane. He had the faster Flutter Mane, and as a result, I have to play differently in the second game, but I did not get that chance because there was no second game. Overall, Dylan played well. I wish I had a second chance at Dylan. At least look good for the stream. Now my luck did not end there. I played one of my good friends who was actually staying with, Aaron Brock. Now to put it plain and simply, Aaron did not have any matchup into Gyarados. His Amoonguss got taunted, Entei waterfalled, Chimpao 2k by waterfall, I could Thunder Wave, Latias got taunted, Thunder Waved. Difficult matchup, to put it simply. Now I don't know what was going through my head, but I felt as though Aaron would counter lead Gyarados, but on second thought, looking at the team, what really counter leads Gyarados? There isn't much, right? I don't know what I was thinking exactly. I don't know if I thought that he'd get a surprise 7th slot and it was Reggie Lucky. I don't know what I was thinking, but that was the only game I ended up losing. I ended up making some nice plays between 2 and 3. I ended up taunting Amoonguss late, right? By taunting Amoonguss late, I was able to Thunder Wave and spam Helping Hand, and then taunt on the turn that he clicks Spore, which is very, very, I guess there's a little bit of skill to that, but I feel like I definitely took my chances there. In the third game, however, I made a very, very nice call. So Entei on the field was being threatened by Waterfall by my Gyarados, and I had my own Entei in the field. So the obvious play was either to stopping or Waterfall the Entei. Now I expected the Amoonguss to come in, and so as a result, I Helping Handed plus Sacred Fire the Amoonguss, an attack that normally would not KO Amoonguss, O-code because of Helping Hand. So I was really, really ahead by that point. Overall, I feel like I had the advantage. I kind of kitted my teams for these kinds of teams, so very useful. My 5th match was actually against Alex Landry. I don't have their team. I had their team, but I don't have the movesets. Overall, I feel like a lot of my techs came up again, right? It was a lot of leading Entei Chimpao. I ended up losing game 1 with this lead. I ended up realizing that their Chimpao was actually Jolly. And one of the interactions with Jolly is if you Sucker Punch my Entei, it'll actually survive past half HP, and as a result won't trigger Citrus Berry. Entei can then follow it up with Stomping Tantrum, KO it, and because they had the faster Entei, they could do that consistently, and I didn't have much to to do against that other than outplay. Second game, I ended up bringing Gyarados, which ended up being very, very useful. I think this, I took a chance for bringing it in the third game because I expected them to bring King Gambit, but I expected it in the back. What this meant was I led it into his Entei and Xianpao, and rather than swapping it in like I did it in the second game, I actually just let it. And so King Gambit in the back couldn't get any value because I kind of expected him to make the, I guess the layer 2 play is what I call it. I call it, right? And I kind of responded by countering the layer 2 play. Overall, like, scary. The nice thing is, even if I did kick it Defiant, like, King Gambit isn't a huge issue for this team, especially when you can't really, redirect. And with Gyarados, I could always taunt this slot to prevent redirection. Overall, I think I played well. I could have played better, right? I dropped the game, but it didn't end there because round 6, I ended up playing Nick Navarre. Now, Nick, he actually built the same team that I used to win the Vancouver Regional Championships. I stole that pace, to put it simply, bar for bar. I stole that completely from him. And so it was very cool to play against someone who, one of my biggest successes was using his teams, right? So I was very, very excited for this. Overall, I feel like I had matchup. I feel like Xianpao and Entei just traded very well into this team. I led it into the Tornadus Landorus lead, which is a very, very good lead for me to lead into. Because of Terra, I could always guarantee my Pokemon would survive the turn because of Focus Sash as well. And I could always guarantee the KO on Landorus the next turn, right? Terra or not, I could always exchange speed the next turn. So, overall, I played game 1 well. I think overall I played game 1 well. I think game 2 is when he counter led me with I believe it was Ogerpon Urshifu, was Ogerpon Entei. It was one of the two. And I tried to catch him with a tech that I hadn't used on him yet, and it was Extreme Speed plus Eyes of Crash KOs most Ogerpon. But when I went for that, he protected, unlike everybody else I had played. Now, I went for the same play turn 2, except for I went for Sucker Punch, because I expected the Terra. Nick called me on that and protected again. And while he got the double protect, it didn't exactly matter, because I had clicked Sucker Punch, which would not have gone off anyway, had he not gone the double protect. So he outplayed me pretty cleanly game 2, but in game 3, I kind of put all my marbles, or what's the saying? All my marbles in one basket, whatever the saying is. And I doubled into the Ogerpon with Sucker Punch plus Terra Normal Extreme Speed. And he Terra'd. And I caught the attack, which put me super ahead. I ended up winning with Lake Game Flutter Mane. And overall, very, very cool match. Nick played amazing. And it was a very, very cool match. I wish it could be streamed, but this is an awesome match, regardless. Now, the game wasn't giving me any breaks because after Nails, I would play Brevarius. Brevarius, one of the oldest players, one of the most successful players. I believe multi-time regional champion. I know he's won at least one. I know he's won at least one. My bad if I'm forgetting, but I believe multi-time regional champion. Had the same team as the second place at this event. A couple changes. Rock Slide on Dondozo was very difficult for my team. And I believe the Tatsugiri form was different. This was plus speed, which is also difficult. Now, overall, he played a better game than me. Just played it simply. I made some bad plays. My friend Luca Paz, same friend I shouted out, had played Bavarius the round prior. And he had given me some tips, but I had misheard and I led badly. Overall, I feel like I got outplayed. I don't have much to say about how I lost, the way I lost. I just got outplayed. I really did just get outplayed. So that to him. Very proud of him for playing well. He was a very kind guy. The other things. So that was my round 7. I lost pretty quickly. Round 8 was my. So if y'all haven't noticed this yet, this is my first Incineroar. I've just been playing Entei. Round 7 no Entei, but every other round Entei. And overall, I feel like I kidded my team to play a team like this. Our original was actually speed tying, so we speed tied in game 2. I Dragon Pulse first to get the KO, but I got my luck handed back to me as my own Raging Bolt was crit by knockoff the next turn, lose the game. So I ended up winning game 3. I played a much sharper game where speed types didn't matter, which is thankful for. But overall, very, very close set. Very cool set. And of course, my final opponent was Zisho Ding. If you don't know Zisho, he actually got second at the Portland Regional Championships the year prior. And of course, we were at Portland, so I was extra scared. Another Incineroar team, very similar to the last game I played. Overall, I feel like Stellar Chemba really helped in my favor, right? It just makes the matchup a lot easier. Getting the ability to 100% extreme speed a target, except for Fluttermane, of course, but it always extreme speeding a slot and expecting a return out of it, whether that be a switch into Fluttermane or something like that, which is very, very useful. Overall, he used Incineroar like I feel like no one else used Incineroar, which is very, 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 very surprised to see the way he used Incineroar. Let alongside Tornadus, it was very, very difficult to get rid of, right? Having the speed advantage, could punting shot first, he had to, while also outspeeding my whole team and knocking things off, right? So overall, very cool game. I believe I won 2-0. I think I made some plays early game in both games that gave me a crazy lead, and it was very difficult to lose that lead. But yeah, it was a very cool game. Now, I had made it to the second day at this point, and the second day, as we all know, only gets harder. My very first opponent was Foster Hughes. Like my round 2 opponent had Thunderous. Didn't bring it this time. Didn't bring it against me. Overall, I feel like I played a good game, right? Like, I remember coming in game 1, I actually got a crit on my Gyarados to get an O-code. It's been very, very nice to have in the late game. I would have been in Iapapa range. Restored back to FHP. Got on the Thunder Wave off. Overall, kind of annoying to lose my Mon like that. But I brought it back game 2 and 3. I think I just played solid. I think I played some much better, much more aggressive games. I feel like I was kind of very scared of my opponent for some reason. The games prior, I was playing very, very safe, and I kind of let go of that during second and third game, right? So, all in all, I felt like I put myself in a position where I got crit to lose, and so as a result, I had to play more sharper and just play harder. I guess it's the easiest way to put it, but yeah, overall, good match to start up day 1. Now in round 2 of day 2, I played Alberto Lara. I believe multi-time regional champion as well. If he's not, it's at least one. I know that. I'm pretty sure he's multi-time regional champion, but he's played extremely well this season. Last season I believe he got semifinals of an international. Overall, just excellent player. He's very, very tough to play against, and the coolest thing is he had basically a problem I had with a team that I was considering using. This Sun team has an extremely weak matchup into Entei and Chien-Pao. Right, you just pyro spam everything. There isn't much they can do back. Whimsicott doesn't matter, as having Tailwind doesn't exactly change much. But all in all, Urshifu was the tech that kind of swung it back into his favor. I still think I had matchup, but Urshifu gave him a chance. Overall, I was pretty proud of the set because, I feel like the first 2 games I kind of didn't let go of the gas. I never protected. I guess if there was hidden rules of Pokemon, there'd be a couple of them, and I disobeyed all of them. Right? Like, one classic rule of Pokemon is if there's 1 turn of Tailwind left, you double protect. And this is because, the next turn after that, they have to Tailwind, and they have to, essentially play a 2v1 for a single turn, right? And I kind of abused Alberto's understanding of fundamentals and just abused all those rules. And in the third game, for the first time ever, I led something differently in the first 2 games, which he was counter leading most of the time. And so I kind of expected him not to expect the counter lead third game. And overall, I played safer, it caught him off guard, right? Because after playing like a crackhead for so many games, playing a safe game, sometimes it's all you need, right? And one of the things that ended up happening in the previous games was he would Aqua Jet very safely when my Raging Bolt was on the field, so I couldn't Thunderclap. And I never fell for it. Whether that was skill or whatever, I never fell for it. And I always Dragon Pulse the other slot. Now, Alberto had kind of realized this at this point that I was, I was kind of playing a little bit disrespectful. And as a result, I feel like he wanted to counter back with disrespect. And so he, in the first turn of the game, attacked with the Urshifu in front of my Raging Bolt. And I caught it with Thunderclap, turn 1. And that was kind of it from there, because he had led Incineroar and Whimsicott, and he had Whimsicott in the back. So with too many support Pokemon, I feel like he kind of lost it from turn 1. Overall, very fun game, but it didn't stop there because I ended up playing the second place of the tour and one of the best players right now, Choppa Cross. Now, Choppa is a regional champion from this season, top 32 Worlds. Also plays extremely highly at ICs. I think this is his best season ever. Right? I think he's definitely in his prime, so it was very cool to play him. Overall, same team as Bavarius. who I played at, I believe it was round 7. I played Bavarius. Yes. So a couple changes. Earthquake made it easier. Lamora was max speed, which in some aspects made it easier, some aspects made it harder. Overall, I think the match was more even, especially because we had actually talked about the matchup. And game 1, I had a couple of unfortunate misses. I feel like I still lost, but I hit, but it was kind of unfortunate not having the chance to even see. Game 2 I played much sharper, and in game 3, I was able to fell the Dondozo, but in an endgame 3v1, which was, I'll say it was a close 3v1. It's like my Pokemon were chipped and he had priority attacks. It was a very close endgame. He ended up barely taking the game. That was a cool game. Overall, he played better than me. Can't say much, but that was a very fun game. And I hit an auto loss in the my final match to kind of give myself a chance to make cut. I guess I won't say much about it. Like, I played extremely badly. I terrored extremely badly in the second game to lose my opportunity to Terra Ghost in front of Dragonite, which could have won me the end game. Overall, my opponent played much better. He caught me by using the priority spam mode with Urshifu, which I had a very tough time dealing with. And in the second game, locked in Ursaluna, which I also have a very tough time dealing with. So played very well. Can't say much other than I got clapped. Other than that, my round 14 was a much simpler matchup. Again, priority spam is very, very nice to these Tailwind teams. I didn't fear Drago at all, right? I mean, I always had priority spam to go into it. I didn't fear the choice by Entei, as I could always double protect, see what it locks into, and then go from there, right? Rillaboom wasn't a big threat and came out once, I believe, but into Chimpao Entei lead, and so it didn't do much. Finally, as long as I could fell Urshifu with my Raging Bolt or my own Rillaboom, it ended up being not a big issue, as well as the fact that it could never take a KO when he led into Chimpao Entei. Right? If you search and strikes my Entei, I'm gonna Terra. If you search and strikes my Chimpao, I'm gonna live. So overall, I had the matchup. But yeah, that was my run. Very, very difficult opponents. I think I'm gonna have a counter about how many champions I played. I played a ton. I had a very, very difficult schedule. Overall, though, I had a lot of fun. Thank you to everyone for watching. If you like the team, let me know. Feel free to use it. If you guys have any teams for future episodes that you'd like me to use to cover, I have a cool episode coming up. So yeah, just stick around. If y'all could like and subscribe, that would be awesome. That was the team that I brought to the Portland Regional Championships and got to 19th with. Thanks everyone for watching.